welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing my pumping experience, or I'm not sure what I'm gonna name the video yet, if I'm gonna name it my pumping experience or how I increased my milk supply personally. But I have all of the products in front of me. I'm just gonna start off with the products that I personally think are essential, at least for my exclusively pumping journey. But before I get started, I just want to say why I'm making this video. I am not pumping anymore. I actually only got to pump about 3 months. I pumped starting the day my daughter was born, and I stopped probably about 2 weeks to a month after she passed. Mainly because I was weaning myself off of pumping, because you can't just stop cold turkey. But I don't know, whenever I was pumping, I wanted to see a video like this because I didn't know what all of these parts were. Like, I didn't know how to use them, I didn't know anything like that, and I wanted more information. And I quickly had to teach myself, but I also had a lactation consultant helping me figure out how to increase my own supply, because I was very on the low end, not where I should be, especially with as far after having my daughter as I was. But yeah, so I'm just gonna start off by showing you all of the products I think were essential in my journey itself. Each either breastfeeding or exclusively pumping journey is different, so if you don't like a product, it could be different for each person. So I just want to say that, and also I just want to say a disclaimer that I'm not a professional. This is my own personal experiences. What worked for me could possibly not work for you, or it could work for you, but this is just my personal experience, so I don't want you to think that I'm a professional, because I'm absolutely not. This is just what worked for me, what I learned. So alright, I'm just gonna jump right into it. The first essential that I thought was very much needed were these quick clean bags. They're the Medela brand. All you do is you quickly rinse out your pumping materials, throw them in a bag, and put them in the microwave. You also have to add a certain amount of water. I don't quite remember, but these were a lifesaver, especially with my daughter being in the NICU and also having to pump every 2 to 3 hours. They just helped so much, and I didn't have to sit there and scrub my pumping materials every time after I pumped. But I do want to say I did clean them at least once a day, if not more, depending on, I don't know, how dirty I thought they were. I just wanted them to stay clean. But these bags were super helpful. These, I don't have the cover for them anymore, or the box they came in, but these are just like little gel things on the inside of them. You can either put them in the microwave or the freezer. I only ever use them in the microwave, but I hear that these are an amazing thing if you have mastitis. I never had that in my journey of pumping, but I did have very irritated nipples because these flanges, I couldn't find the right size that fit me perfectly, so I was always in pain, but wearing these helped me. They do come with a cover to put these in, but I found that I couldn't feel the heat, and they weren't doing anything for me with the cover on. So what I did was I just put like either a tissue or a paper towel. It doesn't sound that great, but and I put the tissue or paper towel in between, so I wouldn't be like burning myself, but that seemed to help me the best. I would 100% recommend these because They were a lifesaver for me, and I used them just about every day after I started using them because they were that good. Another essential is the Haka. I've seen so many mixed reviews about these, but I did want to get one because, I don't know, it's kind of a hit or miss. What people use it for is sometimes, depending on if you're exclusively pumping or if you are breastfeeding, a lot of breastfeeding moms, they just put it on their boob while they are feeding their baby, just to catch like the excess milk that is coming out so you're not wasting it. But for me, since I never got the chance to breastfeed, I use these. It kind of depended what I used them for. Whether I was out and about, I could just stick them on and kind of keep doing what I was doing while it was under my shirt. You couldn't tell. I mean, you could tell, but you couldn't see anything because it was under my shirt. But if you don't know what they do, it just looks like this, and it does have like like how much milk you get, like the milliliters. It does tell you. But what you do is you fold it out like this, you squeeze it, put it on, and then it suctions to you and just pulls out everything. Like whenever you're having a fallout, I don't know the word for it, but like whenever you first start pumping, what comes out, like that's this, what this is for. But I also used this whenever I was weaning myself off of pumping. This helped me. The lactation consultant gave me a bunch of pointers to what I could do to reduce my milk after losing my daughter, because I wasn't planning on pumping after that at all. But I kind of did my own thing, not because I didn't think that she knew what she was talking about, but because me personally, I didn't want to be stuck to the pump every 3 hours or every 2 hours and gradually doing it. So what I did was maybe every 3 hours or even 4 hours, or just whenever I felt like I needed to. I actually have 2 of these. I don't have the other one out, but I just stuck them both on, continued with my day at home, and was doing whatever I needed to do while being able to move and not being stuck to the wall. Because after I lost my daughter, the only reason I was pumping was for her, and I didn't want to do it anymore, especially because there wasn't really any benefit for it to me, like any benefit to it for me anymore. So I just used these because I was able to do whatever I wanted to, and it is on Amazon. I'm sure you can get it a bunch of other places, but I got this on Amazon off of the baby registry that I made, and it comes with a lid and it looks just like this. I would really recommend even just trying it, because for me it was a lifesaver, and it was the kind of the key to getting me off of attached to the wall, if I'm being honest. So this was a must-have for me. And also, where is this? Also this. So I will show you actually. So this comes apart. This is a manual pump. I hated using these, but they do serve a good purpose as to like when you're out and about and you can't get to like an outlet or a pump, you can just put this in your bag and hook this up to it, and it's just a manual pump. So like it's a lot more work, obviously. It's doing what the pump's doing, but you're doing it yourself. So it just looks like this, and I found it helpful for when I wasn't able to get to the pump. So this is just the handle. It does come off. And then you have the flange, oops, and then just the part that kind of suctions and brings the milk in. And then just the bottle that the breast pump comes with. So this is actually sold separately. It doesn't come with the breast pump itself, but I would really recommend it. I got it when I was still in the hospital. They offered it to me, so I definitely took them up on that offer. Also, with your pumping materials, this does come off. I'm not gonna be able to get it off, but I haven't used these in a while. Oh, there we go. So this comes off and it just looks like this. And when you're cleaning, this comes off as well. And whenever I first got my breast pump, I was so confused because I didn't know like what the tiniest parts were for. So this just goes on the end, and these need changed. I don't recall, maybe like every 2 weeks, I don't remember. But this part will go. This is just one of the pumping materials. It goes on the bottom part where, whoops, where you screw this on. So when your milk comes out, it comes through the white part, the white and yellow part. And then when it looks like this, you just add the flange on here and you will hook up the suction to, there's like a little hole right there that just fits in perfectly. But so I'm gonna just show you what all I got with my pumping materials. A lot of it I got at the hospital because when my daughter was in the NICU, they offer all this stuff to you, at least where I was. So these things, these are actually for a hospital grade pump, which I have the small Medela, this pump, oops, this pump right here. And I'm gonna tell you what I think about it in a little bit, but this is for the hospital grade pump. So they just go in the pump like this, and this is what suctions. So like this is the tube that you put in like this, and it will just pump it for you, and you just hold it on. So on the pump, you have different size flanges. They offer a 27 millimeter flange and also a 24 milliliter. It is different for each person. I personally, and it's kind of embarrassing, I had to use one of each. So they're completely different sizes. I used one of each because that's what worked for me and that's what didn't hurt as bad. So I used these. And so let's go back to this. So with this, when you have your milk in here, if you want to leave the milk in here, you can. Also, this is more for just moms that are at home, not even at the NICU, because once I had so much milk built up at the NICU, I had to keep it at home. So I just kept it in this most of the time, my milk. And you can just put a lid on it, and you always need to label it because you need to know when you pumped it, what time you pumped it, and how much you pumped. So you can just put this in the refrigerator and it'll last maybe 4 days or so. It honestly depends on how much you're opening your refrigerator or where exactly it's at in the refrigerator. But it can last pretty much up to 4 days, which is pretty decent, I think. Also, you can leave it out, but it has to be used within 2 hours. So if your baby's not gonna be able to take a bottle within 2 hours, you wanna put it in the refrigerator or put it in the freezer so it doesn't go bad, because after 2 hours, it's not recommended to give it to them anymore. What else? This is for NICU parents or NICU moms. When I was in the hospital, they gave me these little syringes when I was still bedbound because of the C-section, so I wasn't able to move, but they had me start pumping an hour after I had my daughter. They recommend hand expressing, which means you're just doing it with your hand instead of a pump. because that helps your body get used to either pumping or breastfeeding. And they gave me these because when you first start pumping, or I don't know about breastfeeding because I never got the chance, but at least with pumping you don't get much. So they gave me this little syringe to put the colostrum in it that I got to take down to the NICU. And then as I started producing more milk, they gave me bigger syringes that looked like that until I was giving bottles basically. And then they have these size, and then they also have like these size, like double that. So also when I first started pumping, I wasn't getting very much when I was pumping. So generally, I believe after a week of pumping or so, you're supposed to, or you're expected to be getting out about 750 milliliters a day. But after a week of pumping for me, I was only pumping about 300 milliliters, which is not good at all. It worked because it worked for me, and I thought I was producing enough because of her being in the NICU. She was only getting the smallest amount, like 30 milliliters every feed. So I thought personally it was enough until the lactation consultant came up to me and she said, like, how much are you pumping? Like, is everything going good? And I told her, and she's like, oh, like that's not what we're shooting for. And she gave me some really good pointers to go off of. She recommended that I hand express a lot more rather than pumping if the pumping is not getting everything out. So she also recommended that when after I pump, however much I get, so she recommended that when I stop making the milk come in the bottle, to stop pumping and to hand express, and that helped me so much with getting more milk every time I pumped. So I don't even remember. I think I was making, actually I have the app that I was using, and so a week after having my daughter, I was making about 300 to 360 milliliters, so about 34 milliliters per pump, which is not good. Once I started using all of the techniques that she gave me, I started pumping more like 70 milliliters to even well over 100 milliliters per pump, which is a lot better, and you make more throughout the day, of course. So the first thing that I said was hand expressing after you're done pumping, because you're able to get more milk out of your body, which tells your body that you need to produce more milk than that. So when you pump again, you'll get more milk out than the first time, because your body is going to produce more. So that was one of the pointers that she gave me, and it did help quite a bit, but it just wasn't enough for me to make that at least 750 milliliter mark. And so I was looking it up on Google, trying to see if there was anything else I could do, because I was expecting for when my daughter came home that I wasn't gonna be able to produce enough milk for her, because once she would have been able to come home, she would have been drinking a lot more than 30 milliliters per feeding. So what I did after that was, when I was looking it up on Google, seeing if there was any other things that I could do besides the hand expressing, I found that, what was it called? So okay, so after I looked it up on the internet, I found that power pumping can be very helpful, which power pumping is when you take an hour throughout the, just 1 hour out of the entire day, and within that hour, you pump every 10 minutes. So like 10 minutes on, 10 minutes off, 10 minutes on, 10 minutes off. So you're getting a letdown, hopefully every 10 to 15 minutes. It just depends on your body and what your body can handle. I did every 10 minutes. So I sat in bed for an entire hour. And to make pumping fun, because I absolutely hated it and it just was not fun for me at all, I picked a show to watch, and I only watched it when I pumped. So that would make me at least want to watch the show. So I was getting something out of pumping rather than just sitting there and not knowing what to do for an hour, because sitting like this, you're not able to be on your phone or do anything unless you have like a pumping bra, which are very helpful. I actually have them packed away now, but those I would really recommend looking into too. But the lactation consultant, she told me about power pumping too, but I did not want to do it because I didn't like pumping. But when I did try it, I started getting a lot more milk in each pumping. So I think every time that I power pumped, I got over 150 milliliters per pump, per hour that I did the power pumping, of course, which told my body that I needed more milk produced, and I was gonna get it when I pumped throughout the rest of the day, not counting that hour. So she recommended that I try the power pumping for 3 days, and if that helps increase my milk, then it did what it needed, and I was good to pump like every 2 hours or 3 hours, depending on my body, of course. But I did see an increase when I did it for 3 days, of course. Not a ton. I don't know how much you're supposed to see for doing it for 3 days, but I did it for 2 weeks straight, taking an hour out of the day, power pumping for 30 minutes out of the entire hour, and I increased my milk by so much. I was making over 800 milliliters, maybe even, no, I was making almost 1,000 milliliters per day, which, I don't know, it depends on your body, but some people can produce milk like nothing, and some bodies just aren't able to produce it without the help. So my body definitely produced it, but it wasn't giving me what I needed. So I had to do the expressing, like the hand expression and the power pumping, but with those together I was able to get over about 1,000 milliliters a day, which was amazing because I was starting out at 300 or so milliliters a day. So I found a great increase with doing those two things. So I really recommend those. Let's see. With the milk, I did tell you that you're able to leave it out for 2 hours, but it has to be used. This is all what the NICU told me while my daughter was there. In the refrigerator, it is good for about 4 days, depending on where you put it in your refrigerator and everything of that sort. And what freezer you have it in will depend on how good it is long for. So in just like an open refrigerator freezer combo, it is good for about 6 months, unless you're opening it a lot more frequently. Like if you're opening your freezer 30 times a day, it's not gonna last as long as if you're opening it a lot less, if that makes sense at all. But if you have a deep freezer and you're putting your frozen milk in the deep freezer, it is generally good for about a year or so. So that's what I did. I put it in the freezer and just started stocking up my breast milk. But once my daughter died, I didn't really know what to do with everything, because who was gonna drink the milk? So I didn't know what to do with it. The stuff that I had at the kind of the Ronald McDonald house, I actually dumped because I didn't have a freezer to get it to my house, which was 2 hours away. So I ended up dumping it, but it hurt me because I spent so much time pumping and stuck to the wall to make that milk, and spent so much time throughout the day. You don't understand how much time you're actually spending pumping, because it's a lot of work, but it honestly is worth it in the end. But all of the milk I had either at home or still in the NICU, I ended up donating it all to a milk bank. I would really recommend looking into it if you were in the same situation as I was, because, well, the reason I decided to donate my milk was because when my daughter was first born, generally you can't, your milk doesn't come in for a few days, as mine did not. It took about 3 days. So that entire 3 days, my daughter was on donor milk, rather than formula, because I wanted to keep her on breast milk, basically. I thought it was healthier and better. It doesn't matter. As long as your baby's fed, it honestly doesn't, but my preference was I wanted her to have breast milk if possible. So it took about 3 days, and that entire 3 days she was on donor milk. So I decided that I wanted to donate my milk to be able to be a donor for other NICU babies that need milk while their mother is still trying to get the hang of it and start producing their own milk. And I actually was able to donate almost 400 ounces, I think it was over 400 ounces, to the milk bank, and I'm really grateful that I was able to do that, because it's really special and I got to donate it in memory of my daughter. So that was really bittersweet for me. I wish I would have been able to use it for her, but it was getting used and I was glad of it. Alright, I need to stop rambling because I am pretty far into the video, but I will tell you about this. This is the Medela pump, and I did not get the backpack one, but I did get just the little handheld one, and it does come with a lot of the materials, and I got it free through my insurance. Most times you are able to get it for free, so I would really recommend looking into what your insurance offers and everything like that, because most chances they do offer free breast pumps. For me, I only used this maybe 5 or 10 times, and I personally was not a fan of it. I didn't like it because the other pump that I was using was the hospital grade pump. It was also the Medela, but that one had a lot of better suction. This one, I was able to get milk out, but it wasn't producing, like it wasn't giving me as much milk out that I had. So that's whenever I had to go in with the Haka after I pumped for 15 minutes on this to get the rest of the milk out, which I didn't think was beneficial for me. So I didn't use this very much. If your baby is in the NICU, I would really recommend asking for a hospital grade pump, because they work so much better. They suction better, they last longer. I don't know if you can get one of the hospital grade pumps through insurance, but I would really look into it, because they are 10 times better. I've never had the Spectra. I only ever tried the Medela, but I have heard good and bad things about all breast pumps. So it might just be me personally, but I was not a fan of the Medela. Okay, everybody, that is all for the video today. I hope you were able to take something from this and were able to hear all of my essentials and tips and tricks to increase supply if you are having trouble with that, or even if it was just helping you learn how to use a pump, because I know that whenever I first started pumping, I had no clue. And that's just, pumping is just one thing that you don't need to stress about. It is complicated at first until you get the hang of it, and it does get better. I promise you. I only did it for 3 months, but within the 3 months, it did get better. So it does get better. And if you're having trouble, I don't know, getting stuck to the wall with your pump, just think about your beautiful little one that is gaining from it, because it is for them. And when you get to feed them or have them gaining weight because of your milk, it was just special for me personally. Not saying that formula isn't a good thing. As long as your baby is fed, that's the best thing. But for me, I was happy to be able to watch my daughter grow while she was in the NICU, and a lot of the NICU nurses said that it was because of my milk, and that is what's helping her grow strong. And yeah, so I do hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any other questions for me, just go ahead and drop them in the comments. I will see if I'm able to answer. But if I'm not, I would really recommend reaching out to a lactation consultant, because they are so helpful. The hospital that I went to, the lactation consultants were amazing, and I really hope that you're able to connect with a lactation consultant, because they can give a lot better tips and tricks than I can. But nonetheless, I hope you enjoyed the video. All right, guys, see you next time. Bye.